Meet the Piutau brothers, Siale, a tough midfielder and born leader who captained Tonga, and Charles, a star for the All Blacks who left for Britain before he reached peak Piutau. Well, the boys are back in town, and they join us on It's Not Tiddlywinks. How long have you three known each other?
Oh, too long, eh?
Yeah.
I knew Charles when he first came into the Auckland team. First time I met him, we had a blues training session, and they were like, "Oh, we'll bring this young kid up." It's like, "Oh, okay." Rocked up with a number 2 Baldy. You know what I mean? No money to get a haircut, so just a number 2 Baldy, socks down, and we're doing con games. And then he kept like carving us up. I was like, "Oh, geez, take it easy, mate."
How old was he at this time? How old would you have been?
I think I probably would have been 20 years old, 21, yeah.
Yeah. So you see him at training, that was, class. And then we had the game in your debut versus Canterbury.
Mate.
Class.
Still, I forgot about this, and I think I caught up with Benatinga in Scotland, and he told me about it, and I was like, oh man, I tried to delete that from my memory. So like, my first start for ITM Cup, and I remember vividly, like first half, I think they grubbed it through. I went to fall on it, it popped back up, and they scored. And it was like, just in my head, I was like, damn, like, no, I've done a mistake. They've scored a try. And then get into the half time, and then they're like, oh, you're on the bench now. He's like, you're not going back out on the field. And like, that just killed my confidence. Like, and then the rest of the season, I was like, oh, probably going to wait till a new coach comes in, then I'll probably get another chance. That was Wayne.
Oh, your old Pakaranga coach anyway.
Pakaranga coach, tactical, and then he looked after me, and the rest is history. So.
And you two, where did you guys grow up? Auckland? You guys Auckland boys?
Yeah.
We grew up in Mangere.
Yeah. Born and bred.
South Auckland. Parents have been living out there since 1983, I think. They bought a house out there. So 10 siblings, five girls, 5 boys. All the girls older than us boys. Yeah, we also had a first cousin that grew up with us, Simeone. So there were 6 of us. So we always had the perfect number for 3-on-3 tag, 3-on-3 rugby, 3-on-3 wrestling. So we had a good upbringing in the backyard.
I was going to say on the PlayStation, but really, no PlayStation.
Yeah. It wasn't
Tough times,
until he
was it?
started working. I think you bought one, right?
I bought my own PlayStation, so it was all on my rules. It was either winner stays on, or if I lost, I was like, no, one more turn. I'm going to have that. They'll be like, all the boys will be lining up like, oh, but it's my turn, you lost. I'll be like, it's my PlayStation.
You pull that card. It's my PlayStation, so get off, or like, I'm staying on.
Did you guys have Joan Loma rugby?
We did.
Yep.
We did. Knew all the cheats, run around in a circle, run with Jonah Longwood, just fending, going through the whole...
You guys are both Weasley dudes, right? Was Jonah a guy that you guys looked up to on the wall a little bit back in those days?
Of course, like, man, knowing that he was from Mangere as well, being Tongan, coming of Tongan descent, like, to go to the school, like, just like here in the club, like, you had his jersey, he had his, like, name everywhere around the school, in the dining room. And so every day you're like, man, hopefully one day you'd have your jersey up there and your name will be alongside him, like, kind of in the history books of Wesley College.
Did you give a jersey?
I did, yeah.
You?
Yeah.
Of course. All my jerseys up there in the dining room, all shining there.
I know your brother got the Wesley tattoo on his arm. You got one yet or what? You going to throw the 3 stars up?
My like thinking pattern was I just want to leave my name on the honours board, like rather than put the school. Nah, but
I did try and take Charles. It's a thing that you go through at Wesley, that certain years or whatever year you're there with all your boys, you got to get it on a certain place on your body, and that just gives you memories of of being there at Wesley. I used to tell Charles when he was going through school, hey, you just let me know where you want to go. I'll pay for your tattoo, whether you want your Wesley shield. Fortunately, he didn't want it. He was, like he said, he just wanted his name on the honours board. And I managed to put my name on the honours board as well, but I had to carve it in and then got in trouble, so they took that down.
Did you guys ever play each other in Super? Against each other? Like,
no, we didn't. So we just missed each other. But we did play each other. There was a pre-season game, Counties versus Auckland.
And a sevens tournament we played at the Mount, I remember.
Yes, we did.
What was that? Was that weird?
It was weird because it was almost like playing, we had these memories, flashbacks of playing backyard footy, and obviously Charles being younger back then, I used to bully him and used to just run, fend him and stuff, make him cry. But then now, obviously, he's the same size, if not even stronger, faster than me. But I think I only even made maybe 1 tackle on him But it was weird out there, like tapping each other, laughing like on the field. But
I think for me, because I'm the younger brother, like, you know, I feel like I can go all out because that's all I was trying to do growing up. At that age, I was just finished high school. I was probably like 18, 19, and we played against each other. So I knew, like, man, if this guy really went hard and tackled me properly, like, yeah, probably, I don't know if I would still have a professional career or not.
That's strange. I played against my brother once,
Yeah.
James, but it's worse because obviously front row. So I think
true.
Auckland was playing the Bay, and general field tackling, it's all a bit
Yeah,
funny, but then it gets the scrum times, everyone's serious, and obviously he's loose head, I'm tight head, so we're right against each other. And yeah, I was just like, oh, do I drive him back 10 meters?
Do I take it easy?
Yeah,
I
I was just like, oh, GA, you know, gentleman's agreement. It's like,
Okay,
I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, you don't want to make him look bad, but I don't want to get looked bad either. So it's just like, oh, that's neutral.
And then you got the family all watching
Yeah,
too. So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
if something you make one look bad, then they're like, come
They're
on, you
hiding
don't
from
really
mum
have to do.
afterwards.
Yeah.
And even for our parents, I think they came in like, one had a blue soap on, one had a county soap on, so they're divided through the middle. We're like, no, we're supporting, we're supporting both of you, but it was a mean experience.
Charles, AB's experience, what was that like? 2013?
2013, yeah. So first kind of full Super Rugby season. And I remember like the call up, like we played the Highlanders down in Dunedin, and then in the shed, John Curran kind of mentioned it there in front of the boys. So that was quite a cool experience.
You look a bit shell-shocked. Has it sunk in yet?
I don't think so yet. I don't think it has.
I think myself, Stephen Lord and Francis Sailey were part of the new guys that were named. And to find out in the shed with the boys who've been playing all year is pretty special. And I'm sure you were there in Dunedin as well. Did you come watch that game? Because
Yes, I flew back on holiday.
he flew back on holiday from Japan, I think.
Japan.
So he was there, and my parents had come to watch the game. Yeah, like growing up in New Zealand, All Blacks was always kind of, the dream type thing. So to finally get the opportunity to do that, like, unreal. Like, and at that time, to still have the likes of Dan Carter, Richie McCaw, Jerome Kaino, and all the boys, like these legends of the game, still part of the team and coming as a youngster, live with that forever and, tell stories that, man, at least got to be teammates with these guys and play alongside them. But loved the experience. One of the special things, like getting the haka done to the new boys when you walk into in the room, and it's kind of a feeling like, oh man, you almost like feel part of the brotherhood or the team, and then just waiting around until you finally get that debut and to kind of complete, like, okay, you're an All Black now, get your All Black cap number and so forth. So
Did you have to wait long? Was it the June test or
the June
something?
test. So yeah, I think it was France. So she got named on the bench, and I think the boys, I think it was big enough gap points-wise for the coaches to put us on. So
Mate, you're lucky, mate. When I made it, it was like the old Tri-Nations.
Oh yes.
So I was like, all right, sweet, Tri-Nations, long tournament. Didn't even get on.
Didn't get on.
So I was like, am I going to be one of those guys
Yeah.
that named in the team, got the
Yeah.
tracksuit but no
Yeah,
game?
but no game.
So I had to wait all to the end of the season and then obviously got named. But how'd you find that? Like, I thought that was always a real nervous time because obviously when you make the team first,
Yeah.
they give you a heads up.
Yes.
But then other than that, it's like on the radio or on the TV, gotta
find
either
out.
like tune in or pretend you don't care. You're like,
Yeah, I'm just gonna go about my day. It's so true. But
Wait for the
you
text,
just
like,
keep looking at your phone,
congrats,
like,
or,
congrats.
sorry,
yeah.
mate.
That like period was known for like super kind of staunch pro dudes, like you say. But were there any loose units in that group?
Obviously, I went in with like the Rooster and a Ranger, so from the Blues, and like he's just himself, and it was always good fun to be around him, like within the team. And I think I remember one of the hotel rooms. I'm pretty sure he was the culprit, but we're like messing up the rooms, like just going and flipping beds, throwing clothes everywhere, and then guys were coming back into the rooms and checking it. And I think I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was Mutton like seen his room and was off it, like wasn't happy at all. And then everyone was trying to like,
He's an
not
angry
own up,
man,
not own up to it because you
like the
see them
Spider-Man
like, oh, it was like, no, it wasn't me.
Did he ever get caught?
No, I don't think so.
Now, Matt was always quite a neat room,
Yeah.
stuff away.
Yeah.
Like he'll move into the hotel room, unpack all in the drawers, 100 press-ups. I don't know if he used to do it, but he'd be
But then,
like,
like,
come
he'd
to the
like-
room, 100 press-ups every night.
He was just, like stretching always, so
Yeah,
like we'll
stretching.
go in, like, man, just felt like, man, stretch with him, and yeah.
And then go
Hence he's still
casino.
going.
International stuff. You obviously played for Tonga early on. 2011, was that your first year, that World Cup?
Yes, that was my first time I put on the red jersey, but East Solomaka was a coach at the time, and he had been trying to get me to play for Tonga, I think since 2009. I knew, man, I want to play for Tonga here in New Zealand, you know, and they already announced the World Cup was going to be here. But at that time, East Solomaka kept calling me like, hey, you have to come play for Tonga, and you have to come do this. And I knew in my heart that first I wanted to tick off playing Super Rugby. And I said, man, once I play Super Rugby, then I'm going to commit to Tonga and, you know, hopefully make that World Cup in 2011. But, you know, I remember his chats at the time would be like, but where are you? You at the Chiefs? You're behind this player. You're this Sitiveni Sivivati there. Lilia Masanga, like, you're not going to get a game. So, and that's the honest chat that he was having with. And at the same time, I was like, yeah, actually, but I know those guys are ahead of me, but I know I need to tick off playing Super Rugby, because I knew, obviously, once you committed to playing for the Island Nations, it made it difficult to play Super Rugby. So my pathway, I knew, man, I've got to tick that off just so I can say, man, I've finally played Super Rugby, something I aspired to be. And then, obviously, the rest was history, playing in their first World Cup, which was, man, unbelievable. It was amazing here in New Zealand.
Now they look to swing it wide. Piutau! Siale Piutau!
For me, I was around like 20 or something, but it was the first time I ever saw like that Tongan fandom.
Yeah.
Can you like talk me through that experience being on the playing side of those airport arrivals and that?
Man, that airport arrival, I know it was mentioned earlier, but we were on the plane, just as we landed, we were getting rushed off the plane and told, man, we would quickly jump on the bus. You know, we were to get out there and do the welcoming, because everyone had blocked off the car. They had filled up the car park spot. People were missing their flights. Motorway was shut down because people had parked on the motorway, but they opened these doors and we walked out just to a sea of red, and they were singing hymns, they were chanting. And I think it was an awesome way to kick off, I think, that World Cup, because we obviously had the opening game against the All Blacks. But I guess it just showcased to the world, you know, not just Tongan fans, but for every other team as well, that's the kind of support, that's a, you know, kind of, I think that excitement that Tongan fans do, that you could see it's happened every time we've gone back to Tonga. You know, they have that same passion, and obviously being the #1 sport in Tonga as well. So it was a mean experience.
So the move up north for you, tell me about that kind of transition and how you guys linked up at Wasps.
Yeah, so obviously opportunity came to go abroad, and then that was for Ulster. And
Ulster,
obviously, John, you played there.
He called me, remember?
Yeah.
I was at a hotel at a game. He's like, oh, oos.
What's it like?
What's it like? I was like,
How'd you sell it?
No, I just told him straight up, like,
Yeah.
when people ring you and you're overseas, you know, they're taking a risk. You don't want to, like, trying to sell it for the club. You just
Yeah.
tell them straight up.
Exactly.
This is my experience.
Yeah.
Could be different.
Could be different, right? And you don't want to oversell it, and then they come and you're like, well, you're the one that told me this, and then I'm hating it here, like, type thing. But yeah, like, whenever for that contract, but then I had to find something in between, and that's when I went to Wasps. Played there, and then I remember you had planned to come and visit me while I was there. And then we had a few injuries in the midfield, and then medical joker had popped up, and the agents were like, oh.
But it was an awesome time. My parents were over there at the same time, and for them to see us play together, I used to get quite emotional, because the Wasps, we used to hop off the bus. They had all the supporters there chanting. They had drums, and to always see our parents standing there, like my old man, like obviously he's a staunch, like Tongan, proud. We'll just see him always looking to the side and be like teary, like trying to hide, like wipe his tears, you know, and they're doing the Wasps chant and stuff. But to see that, and I guess after games as well, we used to drive. We obviously lived in London, but we played in Coventry, where the team had bought a stadium up there, so we would drive 2 hours back. There'd be times, obviously, we'll jump in the car with my parents, and they'll just be like crying all the way back, thinking we never thought that we'd be able to be on this side of the world or traveling the world. And I guess it's those memories that we look back and be like, you know, we'll definitely cherish.
They had a good team too, eh? Those couple of years, they were like top four.
Yeah, we made top 4 semi-finals in the Prem and in the European Cup. James
George
Haskell
Smith.
was there. George Smith.
Obviously, Haskell, a bit of a big personality in the
Yeah.
rugby world. What was he like to play with? Was he a DJ then? What was the vibe of him? And
I don't think he was DJ, not that I could
I
remember.
don't think he was DJing, but he was doing a lot. Because he came to the Highlanders before. Yeah, I think he was in Rico in Japan, came to the Highlanders, or other way around. And I roomed with him one time. We were in South Africa, and he was always on his laptop. Like, there's certain guys. He was. I don't know what he was doing there. He was doing like, I don't know if he was writing a book or, but he always seemed to be busy. And I'll be like, obviously being young back then, I would always ask him questions like, oh, how's Japan? Or how's that up here? Or where'd you go to this place? And this was before I went to WASP. This would have been 2012, I think it was. I was just always trying to pick at his brain, but he was always someone that always had something on all the time, either on calls or on his laptop.
I actually love, like, we were at WASP and he'd call the academy boys. So they'll have like A1, they wouldn't have like, we'll all have our initials with our names on it. And then the academy boys would be A1, A2. So he'd just be calling them at trainings like, A1, come on, pick up the ball. Like, A2, go get the bib. Like, it's just like, oh, poor young guys coming through, but yeah, so it was good.
That was a big step back for those academy kids, because all the academies were the same, like no initials, only A1, and A2 until you get to the senior squad.
To then get their initials on, it was a big kind of achievement.
True. And George Smith was there as well, eh? You guys were saying earlier?
Yeah,
What was
he
playing
was
with
there
him
as well. Like, I'm pretty sure he got player of the year for that tournament. And I just remember I keep telling him, like, on the field, I was like, man, you're still playing like you're 21, and just be like,
you'll never see him in the physio room. You'll never see. And we used to. I remember I asked him like, man, how come I never see him in the physio room or getting treatment? We realised he had like his own physio. He had a chiropractor. He was seeing like all outside of it. Like,
who's that?
George Smith.
You know why?
Why?
Because nothing's documented, mate. So when you go for your medical, go to the next club, it's like, have you ever been injured? It's like, mate, have a look at the sheet. Clean sheet, mate.
He gets re-signed you. Yeah, true.
That's smart. But while we were at WASP, they tried to offer me and Charles like to try and stay on. Like, I sat down with the general manager at the time, and he put a piece of paper in me. He's like, "Oh, just write down your number." Obviously, I didn't write a number down because I was like, now when I think of it, man, I should have just put heaps of zeros down. But they did try and get us to stay. Obviously, Charles said he's going to honour his contract with Ulster, his 2-year deal there. I said, obviously, Yamaha's allowed me to go do that medical joker there. And they'd seen it for me. They told me, oh, it's like development for you, so we're happy for you to go do that for 4 months. Because that's pretty much the holiday you get in Japan. When you play in Japan, you get around 3 to 4 months off, which is obviously unheard of when you're playing up in the UK. But I went back and did another medical joker with Bristol, and with Pat Lamb signing on that next year in the championship. Pat at the time had said, man, next job is trying to get your brother here. And I said, yeah, don't worry, I'll help you get him. No, I'll chat with him. But yeah, that's how we ended back up at Bristol.
And then Pat passed you the paper, eh?
And then,
Have you written your number down there?
the phone call again.
Who writes the number down in that situation? Is it you or is it the agent? No. Classic.
That was good times up there, eh? We had a good squad and
Yeah.
made some good memories.
Yeah. I think, like, considering where Bristol was before that, like, kind of inconsistent, going up and down, to see them now, like, you know, be part of the Prem Rugby and kind of build a bit of a fan base more. And yeah, I still couldn't believe, like, every time we go around Bristol, when I first got there, was like so many Bath jerseys within the city. And I was like, isn't Bath down the road? But like, Bath was kind of the main team around those areas in the Southwest.
I tell the boys too, Pat didn't even want me.
Really?
Yeah, because I was up the road at Gloucester, and he was ringing me. He's like, what about this guy, Jan Thomas, this prop? And he's like, what about this young kid, Dan Thomas, this Welsh one?
Well,
and
he's a scout
he was
at this
listing
time.
all these names. I was like, yep, nah, yep. And then got to the end, I was like, and asked if I want to come down. And he was like, what? And I was like, 'cause I was off contract too. I was like, oh, I'm keen to come down. Okay. And I was like, Pat, man, give me 2 years and I'll come down. Rang the boss man, got me 2 years, and then ended up doing 4. So
It makes it a lot easier, especially for us, we're like family oriented, going to a club that you know either of someone or you know someone that's of same descent, Tongan, Fijian. When you go there, obviously they help you find your feet, show you the city a bit. So I think that's what made it like enjoyable for all of us. We had some good time. We had some
good city, yeah. Then obviously that first year we were all there, it was like, oh yeah, we're going to get a new training base. So I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Then we'll train at Clifton, which was it'd be like training here, but worse. You know what I mean? Like old as concrete showers, dodgy change rooms, the most coldest gym you ever had in your life. And then 18 months later, we moved into the brand new training base, and it was just like,
It was like £11 million
yeah,
facility, barn, sauna,
that's
everything.
it. Boys wouldn't leave. Good food, because you get breakfast, lunch, snacks, and then boys in the sauna, in the jacuzzi, ice baths, just doing the whole day.
Away it goes to Hobbs, to Martin Nonu, swings the pass wide, here it comes! Charles Piutau scores on debut.
Lovely bit of footwork there from Charles Piutau.
Charles, after those couple of years with the All Blacks, tell me about the decision, but like also the conversations with the All Blacks when you sort of were thinking about leaving and deciding to leave. What was that like?
Yeah, so I think at first I was offered a 4-year contract, and then I was like, oh.
In New Zealand?
In
or?
New Zealand,
Oh,
in New Zealand. And then there was a 2-year. I was like, I'll push for 2 and try and, get some more tests in to kind of bump up the contract and have a renegotiation. So eventually it was like a 2-year, and I was going to sign the deal, meeting with the agent, going to the storeroom of a cafe in Mount Eden. Contract was there, and start talking with the agent, and he was like, oh, I just had a phone call last night. Ulster club I've never heard of, but they've come on with an offer that's probably triple what the New Zealand NZRU had given me at that day. So I was like, oh, I need 2 weeks to think about it. Those 2 weeks, one day I'm leaving, next day I'm staying, back and forth, and then finally came to the decision. In my mind, I was like, if I can play a World Cup, that was my pinnacle. When I thought, I always wanted to be an All Black. I played a few tests by then, 10 or whatnot. And then if I could play a World Cup, I'd be happy to go overseas. And so that was my thinking. Financially, it could help my family. And so made that phone call, and I was dealing with Fozzie at the time because I had a relationship with him when I was still in high school. I was meant to go to, he was coaching the Chiefs at the time, and I was meant to go to Waikato and have this 3-year program to then, I think it was myself, Sam Kane, and a guy called Carl Axton at the time. Then obviously parents wanted me to stay home, so I was like, oh, sorry, I'm not coming. And then took the Auckland route. But coming back to the Auckland All Black decision, made the phone call to him, and yeah, we in the car
I
at that
happened to be in
time.
the car driving.
Yeah.
And Charles was like, yeah, I'm going to call the coach. And
No one saw it coming, and the Fozzie's reaction was like, "Are you serious?
Chuck it on speaker or what?
Yeah, are you serious? Do you know what you're going to? Do you even know where Belfast is on the map?" I was like, "No, I don't." And then obviously the store had an opportunity to try and make the World Cup team that year. Didn't, then never looked back and jumped on that plane.
Do you ever sometimes think about what it would have been like if you'd stayed?
I think the worst thing is, I think there was a World Cup that year and it was in England. So I arrived 2 or 3 days before the final, and my parents are there, had been following this guy with Tonga. And then they were I asked them, well, you guys want to go to the final? They're like, yeah, that'll be cool. So I text I think I text Malachi Fekitoa, oh, I can get some tickets. So I'm sitting there in the stands watching the guys play against Australia in the final. And that's probably the worst way. I was like, I could have been there, it would have been nice. That's probably the only time I thought did I make the right decision? But other than that, just cheered the team on as a supporter and just cracked on, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it was our story would be very same.
Yeah.
Start of the year, new contract. Oh yeah, for New Zealand, I was like, oh yeah, stay.
Yeah.
Ulster out of nowhere, because I was
Same.
I wanted to go to Dublin with the boys.
Yeah.
Easter was there and Joe Smith. Ulster turned up. I was like, oh okay, better money and lifestyle and stuff like that. The only thing I heard of it was on a TV show I was watching, Sons of Anarchy. They're like, oh, we're going to Belfast, just guns, drugs. I was like, oh. And then that was it. But crazy that, didn't realise.
It was such a big deal because of where you were at in your career. Do you sort of feel like you've kind of paved the way for other people to do similar things? Because obviously it's a career move, you know what I mean?
Well, I remember kind of the backlash that I got from making that decision made me probably realise this is probably not normal. Or I think I was 23 years old, and obviously had an option to stay in New Zealand, and decided to leave, and probably was coming into my prime, and that was probably something no one else had really done. My honest opinion was, I've never looked back. It was a tough decision. If you want to play for the All Blacks and play many tests, do that. If you want to travel the world, experience what's overseas, different styles of rugby, financially, better contracts, then chase that and don't look back.
we were young kids that have grown up in South Auckland. We were so comfortable about being around our family. We don't want to leave and try something different. But if there is someone there that has done it and you're learning off their experiences, it just almost gives you that bit of confidence of actually, this might be possible. I could go there and do it. And we all gave advice, whether it was myself, pastors, parents, gave Charles advice when he was going through that stage. And mine was more, man, you got to go somewhere where you're going to be, you're going to be out of your comfort zone, but it's going to challenge you, life skills that you're going to learn up in Ulster, being by yourself, learning how to cook, learning how to do all these things that you take for granted.
Like, I think that for me, being the youngest of 10, like, never touched a washing machine, like, never washed the dishes, like, I was like golden child, like, my mum and parents look after me. So a big part of that decision as well was to kind of find my own 2 feet and learn, these life skills that I've kind of never done. And I remember, like, I was in the apartment in London and I'm calling my sister, like, how do you turn on the oven again? Like, what? Like, just trying to cook nuggets, like, like, I've probably just gotten a little bit better now, as my wife would say, but yeah.
Key was Siale's house in the in-season there.
Oh, yeah.
The door always open,
Yeah.
cupboards stocked with the old, wasn't Gilmore's, what's the other one? The shop you used to go to get 100 bottles of water, paper towels.
Costco.
Costco.
right?
Love that. Whole pigs, drinks.
Oh, where are you guys at now? Are you both in Japan, right?
Yeah, I'm with the team Blue Sharks. We're based in Yokohama. Been there for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, and I'm with Yamaha Shizuoka Blue Revs. So we're kind of 3 hours out from Tokyo. My first season just finished and now enjoying the break here back at home. Brought the family back to, see the kids meet their cousins and stuff. So it's good.
How do you find the expectations? Obviously, I remember when you signed, they chucked your highlight reel up, but half of it was back for the Blues and the Auckland. You know what I mean? So when they're like, oh, this guy, he's like, oh, he's got a few more greys.
Exactly.
It's like, I can't do that anymore.
I think
boys.
that's why we went fullback and then moved into the midfield and be like, oh, maybe we could use this guy more, crash and set up stuff. So the training methods is not the same to like the UK and whatnot, where like everything's GPS and you stick to a certain amount of K to build up for the week. We could be doing like 10K before we even played the game. So that was very different, and I think that part wasn't too bad. After it took a while, like 3 or 4 games to get used to, because the speed of the game was like almost playing super again. But the physicality is not as physical as what the UK and Northern Hemisphere is.
And your boys are just back to New Zealand. Where was the first stop for the food? Or top 2 places where you stopped?
Bakery is definitely the first stop
Steak
for
and
me.
cheese pie. That's always the go-to.
Have you gone for the butter chicken or the tikka these days? Have you?
Not yet.
I came back and I was like, it was like butter chicken pie. I was like, what?
Yeah, no, that's still very different for me. Like, mince and cheese, steak and cheese with bacon and egg, but haven't tried it yet.
So there's a very famous place, I'm pretty sure you'll be familiar with it, you obviously know it, the old Mercury Plaza Chinese restaurant.
Chinese cuisine with Lee.
Chinese cuisine
right.
with Lee.
Yep.
Pretty sure your
Epsom
photo
now.
was up on the wall, wasn't it? For
I
years
can't
there?
remember,
Pretty
but
sure
I
all
was
the
a
boys were,
local
right?
there, a tree, and get behind there and go and cut the meat up yourself, and yeah.
Yeah, that was the classic spot that had the blues all over the wall, eh? Yeah. Like Sonny Bill's one was the most prominent.
Sunny Bills was up the top.
Yep.
And then my old mate Jerome, he was down the bottom because one year he ran up a tab. He was the only man to have a tab at Mercury Plaza and just didn't pay it. And the guy would be with his knife like, where's your friend? Like, I don't know, bro. He's like, tell your friend to pay his bill. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll tell him when I see him.
Oh my gosh. Lee, sorry. He'll pay it someday, Jerome. And we'll get him on to discuss this at some stage. Gentlemen, kia ora for your time. Thank you. Siale, Charles, also John. That's all we've got time for. Join us next time on It's Not Tiddlywinks on NZR+.